Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, we begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity for us to continue in our lessons and in the Sullam of Al-Imam Al-Akhdari in Mantiq. And we pray that Allah bless in this lesson and make it a reason where our sins are forgiven, our prayers are answered. And may Allah protect us from all trials, tribulations in dunya and akhirah. And bless us in your husnul khatima. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. So in our last lesson, we have entered into the chapter of Al-Qadaya. Al-Qadaya wa ahkamuha. Yani the author of Sullam, he named this particular chapter as the chapter of Al-Qadaya. And the previous lesson I mentioned, Al-Qadaya is the plural of Qadiyya. And Qadiyya in English we call it proposition. So it is basically a sentence that carries any meaning, which inshallah ta'ala we will speak about after this. And also he mentioned Al-Qadaya wa ahkamuha and its rulings. So after we speak about the meaning of propositions and the types of propositions, then we will go into the rulings of such propositions. And before inshallah ta'ala we enter into the chapter of Qiyas, that is a chapter of syllogism. So basically in the beginning part of this particular chapter, the author defined what is the meaning of Qadiyya. So basically it means it is a sentence that has a meaning where there is a possibility of truth or false. So when we speak a sentence that carries, for example, a simple sentence and maybe a subject, a predicate. When we say, for example, Zaid is standing or Muhammad is an engineer. So this particular statement can be true and can be false. So this is a Qadiyya. This is basically the definition of a proposition. And the author is going to speak about the types of proposition. So before we go into the text, I will just mention briefly inshallah so that it becomes easy for us to understand. So basically there are two types of proposition, and one is called al-hamliya and the other one is called shartiyya. So hamliya, it is a non-conditional proposition, whereas in shartiyya it is a conditional proposition. So for example, if you have a sentence that is not conditional, it is not begun by if, for example, or when. So when a sentence begins for example as a statement where it says for example, Zaid he went to school, or Zaid is standing, or the principal came, all these are sentences that are not conditional. Conditional sentences, for example, if you say, if the sun rise, the day has come. If the sun rise, the day has come. So this is a conditional sentence. Likewise, if we say, if you stand, then I will stand. And if you stand, then I will stand. So this is an example of conditional sentences. So the author will speak about the non-conditional sentences, which in Mantiq we call it al-Qadaya Hamliya. Al-Qadaya Hamliya, whereas the conditional sentences, it is called as Qadaya Shartiyya. So inshallah ta'ala we will enter into Qadaya Hamliya, and then I think maybe next week we will enter into Qadaya Shartiyya. So basically this is the chapter where we will access meanings of sentences and how it relates to logic and understanding the rulings of such sentences in a way that will protect us from committing any errors in thinking and understanding. So now inshallah we go back into our slides. So last week we came up to here. So now inshallah we go on to the next slide. The author mentioned mahtamala sidqa. Mahtamala sidqa lidhatihi jara bainahum qadiyatan wa khabara. Whatever that accepts any truth as one possibility in its meaning is called proposition, qadiyya, or phrase. At times it is called in qadiyya, in Arabic, and for example in the Arabic language, in Balagha, we call it khabar. So, but in Mantiq, we call it any qadiyya, a sentence that carries a ruling, a sentence that is complete, that has a meaning. So when we speak about the chapter of tasawwur, when we speak about a word, a particular word, and for example last time we spoke about a universal word or a particular word. For example, we say al-insan, it is kulli, it is a universal. It is universal word anyway, you can apply it to a lot of people. And Zaid is insan, Muhammad is insan, Fatima is insan. So this word we call it any kulli, whereas we have another part that is called juz'i. Juz'i is a particular, is a word that carry a particular meaning. And for example, if I say I or you, it refers to one single person, or a person by the name of Zaid. This is particular. So last time in the chapter of tasawwur, we speak about universal word and particular word, and also we speak about definition, the importance of understanding any definition of words. But when we enter into the chapter of qadiyya, we are going to analyze any sentences, and the thing that will help us to analyze any sentences when we have understood the definitions of such words, because sentences are made of words. Sentences are made of words. So this particular chapter of qadiyya, it teaches us how words are connected in a sentence, and how we can ascertain whether it is true or it is false when we enter into syllogism. For example, when we speak about evidences of the premises within an argument. So all these are interrelated, and basically we have covered the chapter of tasawwurat, that the importance of understanding kulliyatul khamsa, the 5 universal concepts, so that we can make a good definition based on al-had, at-tam. A good definition is crucial for us to make proper sentences. So when we understand meanings of words, then we are able to make constructive sentences. So this is basically where we are now. So a sentence can be true or false. A sentence can be true or false. So this meaning of qadiyya. But of course, there are exception. Like for example, the words of the Quran or words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is impossible, and it is not true. It is based on necessary truth. When it comes into the Quran, when it comes into the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when we have established the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the existence of His attributes, the existence of the attributes of prophets and messengers, as we mentioned in the knowledge of Aqidah, we come into the conclusion that their statements are necessarily true. True by necessity, wajib. It is wajib aqli based on its truthfulness. So this is something that is exception, because we have evidences, rational evidences behind it. But here we are speaking about normal sentences that is not within the sentences that are proven to be true or to be necessarily true. So this is just a statement where there are possibilities. So this is the meaning of qadiyya. So now we go on into the next part. So the author mentions ثم القضايا عندهم قسمان شرطية حملية. So this is what I mentioned earlier. The propositions are divided into 2 categories. There are the shartiyah, the conditional, and the attributive. And this is a translation for hamliya, attributive propositions. I will give an example after this, inshallah. As for the second category, hamliya, it is divided into no, this is an example. The translation is the next one. It is divided on kulliya and shakhsiyya. It is divided into kulliya and shakhsiyya. Okay, what is the meaning? For this, inshallah, I will go into the whiteboard. Let me see. Okay, now the author is saying propositions which is al-qadaya, is divided into two categories. We have what is called hamliya. Hamliya. Which is translated as attributive. The other one is shartiya, conditional. So under hamliya, you have the subject Now we're speaking about the subject, In sentence we have subject and predicate. So there are two main types. When we speak about the subject here, there are two types. One is kulli, all this we studied in the chapter of Tasawwurat before this. The other one is juz'i. Juz'i. What is the meaning of kulli or juz'i? Yani kulli basically universal. Correct or not? Universal. What is the example? The other one is particular. Okay, for those who are following, you have to pay attention a bit. Okay, this is important. Okay, so we are speaking about what? The subject. The subject. So now let me give you an example. If I say in a sentence in English, Zaid is an engineer. This is a sentence. There is a subject and predicate. Taib. Now if I ask the question, look at the subject. Now we are concerned here about the subject here. So in qadaya hamliya, the focus is on the subject. Taib. Look at the subject. Is this universal or particular? The word Zaid is a name of a person. Is it universal or particular? If you say universal, meaning can be applied to other person. If you say it's particular, meaning it is only one. Taib. Certainly Zaid is what? Juz'i, correct or not? Zaid is considered to be juz'i. This is an example. Taib. When the subject of a proposition is juz'i, it is called shakhsiyya. This is qadaya hamliya shakhsiyya. Shakhsiyya. The word shakhsiyya meaning personality. Why personality? Because it is particular. You cannot apply to other things. Shakhsiyya. Maybe some of you thinking this only for human beings. No. For example, if I say the book is on the table. This is a proposition. Okay, now you look at the subject. Where is the subject? The subject is the book. Is this kulli or juz'i? This is juz'i. Because I am specifying. The book. So, it is qadaya hamliya shakhsiyya. The other one is if the subject is universal. The subject is universal. So all this is shakhsiyya, correct? No? Qadaya shakhsiyya. This is an example of qadaya shakhsiyya. Okay, now we go to the universal. The universal. Like what? For example, we say man. say man is a being. So the word any man, and it goes back into al-insan. Al-insan. This is universal, kulli. Correct or not? This is universal because the word any man can be applied to all human beings, and it can be applied to me, can be applied to you, can be applied to everyone. So when it can be applied, it can be applied, it carries any universal any meaning. So this is called what you call it? If the subject any is kulli, we call it qadaya musawwara. Qadaya musawwara. So we have shakhsiyya, and we have musawwara or sur. We call it sur. Or musawwar. Musawwar. In Arabic, any is from the word any sur. Sin, waw, ra. You know the word sur any is a fence. And in Arabic it's called any fence. Meaning it has boundaries. Musawwar is ismul maf'ul bi ismul maf'ul. Musawwar. Musawwar. What is the meaning of musawwar? Let me give you an example. Okay, I have some space. Now, when we say, for example, we say men or humans are intellectual beings. Okay, when we say this is musawwar, you can add at the front all, which is universal, or some. So this sur, it can be divided into by putting all, kullu, or ba'd, some. So for example, if you have any a sentence, sorry, this is afwan. If you add any all, then it is called sur. If there is no all or some, it is muhmal. Mistake, I made a mistake just now. Okay, let me muhmal, afwan. Okay, now we go up again. Now we have the propositions is divided into hamliya and shartiya. Hamliya, if the subject is universal, what you call it? It is different than if the subject is particular. If the subject is particular, we call it shakhsiyya. If the subject is universal without any all or some, which is a sur, without any all, any or some, it is called muhmal. So for example, if I say man is a being just now, man and his being, this is muhmal, afwan. This is muhmal. Why? The thing about muhmal is, it is the subject is universal, but without all or some. But the moment you put all or some, then it becomes musawwar. Then it becomes musawwar. So altogether, how many we have? Altogether, we have number one, we have shakhsiyya, and then we have muhmala, and then we have sur. So we have shakhsiyya, and then we have muhmala, and then we have the sur, and the sur, and it is divided into two parts. One we have the universal, and the other one is the particular. The other one is the particular. So these are basically the types of qadaya hamliya. The types of qadaya hamliya. Aywa. Let me erase this and write the thing again, so that inshallah it becomes easy, inshallah. So now, when it comes to qadaya hamliya, number one, we have shakhsiyah. Shakhsiyah. Number two, we have muhmala. So shakhsiyah as what we mentioned. Shakhsiyah as what we mentioned. It is what you call it? If this the subject of the proposition, it carries a particular meaning. So if the meaning is particular, then we say it is shakhsiyah. So for example, as what we mentioned, Zaid is standing. Zaid is standing. So this is considered to be shakhsiyah. Qadiyya shakhsiyah. Type number two, we have muhmala. Qadiyya muhmala. Type when comes to the muhmala, we say there is no all or some. So I put in bracket here, no all or some. No all or some. Yani for example, we say man is a being. So the subject is universal, but there is no all or some. So number three, we have what is called the sur. So you mentioned earlier the sur. So when it comes into the sur, it is divided into two parts. We have the universal, that is represented by all, and then we have the particular. That is represented by some. So for example, if I say all students are writers. So this is musawwar. Musawwar with kulliya. Kulliya universal. There is all. If I put some, now then it becomes musawwara but juz'iyya. Some students are writers. So under surah how many we have? We have what you call it? Two types. We have any universal and we have any the particular. And then we have any one more, which we'll mention by the author, number 5. Because this under number 3 we have 3.1, 3.2, or we say 3 and 4. The one is universal, one is the particular. As for number 5, we have what we call it as we use a negative. For example, by saying nothing, if we say, for example, no man is a stone. So now we are negating. This is a universal statement. So when we negate, this negation is universal. A total negation. And then we have the other one, we use the word part. Or we say none of the parts of man is a stone. None of the part of man is a stone. So now I'm using an negation to say that none of the parts of man. So this is a form of a universal negation. So here it is considered to be a positive statement, whereas here is a negative statement, but both carry universal meanings. So all this is part of what we say as qadaya hamliya. Qadaya hamliya. So this is basically, if you go back into the Sullam, the author will speak about all of these parts. So as you can see, if you go back into our notes, he mentioned, for example, he said kulliyatun shakhsiyatun wal awwalu imma musawwarun wa imma muhmalu. So the first one, he speaks about the earlier part, which is hamliya. So if you look here, when he says summa al-qadaya indahum kismani shartiyatun, this is the first part is shartiya. Then hamliya, wasani. So wasani goes back into hamliya. So he say hamliya, you have kulliya and shakhsiya. So this goes back into the subject of the sentence. So if the subject is a universal word, then it is kulliya. If it is a particular word, it is shakhsiya. As for the kulliya, he say imma musawwarun wa imma muhmal. So if the subject is universal, then it's divided into two parts. Either it is musawwar, meaning you can add all or some to it, or you don't add. If you don't add any, it is muhmal. That's what we mentioned. If you add any, it becomes any musawwar. It becomes any musawwar. So we have kulliya and shakhsiya. So under kulliya we have musawwar and non-musawwar. We have musawwar and non-musawwar. So musawwar we have two, all and some. And muhmal we have one. And then he mentioned wasuru kulliyan wa juz'iyan yura wa arba'u aqsamuhu haythu jara. So then he mentioned when comes into the sur, you can attain the 4 types. And what 4 types? And for example, you say all humans are beings. Then some humans are writers. So now you have 2. And this is considered to be positive. And then the negative part. The negative, you say not all humans are writers. Or you say not some humans are writers. So you have the negation in terms of universal kind of negation, and also negation by explaining the specific part of a thing that you negate. So altogether you have the 4 types of musawwar based on the positive and the negative, because you have 2 positive and 2 negative. So 2 positive, 2 negative, plus shakhsiyah, and plus muhmal, and then by putting the negative of shakhsiyah and muhmal, then altogether you have 8. You have 8. So if you take out the positive and negative, it becomes 4, because it is divided by 2. Then he mentioned imma bi kullin aw ba'din aw bila shay'a wa laysa ba'du aw shibaha. Imma bi kullin aw bi ba'din aw bila shay'a wa laysa ba'd aw shabahin jala. This is what I mentioned earlier when it comes to the total negation. The total negation, when we say not all humans are, we say what you call it, not all humans are stones, for example. So this is a total negation. So when we negate, so we have the negation and we have the positive statements. So these are the 2 parts that we can apply to the musawwar. So inshallah ta'ala, next week what I will do is I will write down the 8 types, because here the author mentioned wa kulluha mujabatun wa kulluha, I cannot see on my screen, so I have to see on my laptop. Wa kulluha mujabatun wa salibah fahiya idan ila thamani ayibah. So from here we will get the 8 types. So remember we have the positive and the negative. If you take shakhsiyah, muhmala, and then the 2 sur, so you have 4, and then you times 2, because each of them has a positive and negative. That's how you will get 8. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.